Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm basically going to live code a small navigation for this project that I'm currently working on. This is Coddy. Coddy is basically a small feature flag app that I'm working on. And as you can see here, the website doesn't even exist. All I have is this one single blog post about feature flags. And what I want to do is I want to start on working on the marketing side a bit. The first thing that I want to do here is, as you can see in the Figma, I want to create this navigation bar, and that's what we are going to build here today. So I've set this up here. This is basically just a screenshot, but this is like a full Figma of what it's going to look like. And if you push this over, you can also see how the thing is going to work here. And yeah, let's try building this, right? I've got the code, this is the local environment here first. And I've also set up basically the code locally. And now we can start building. In local, you can also see that I have some sort of a dummy navigation that I started here but never finished. So we will basically use this as our starting point, I guess, and then we will just go on from there. All right, enough of introduction. Let's look into it. So the first thing I will do is I'll have a look here. I can see this is basically auto layout, which in my head is always like Flexbox. And you can see on the right hand side here that this is set to auto gapping, which basically in my head also translates to space between justify. So let's start with that. You can hear that I'm basically already thinking in Tailwind terms, but let's do that. First of all, let me remove all of this and start by saying this is flex, item center, and it's justify between. And I think that's it for now. What can we see here? There's no spacing, so we don't have to worry about that. We can see that the background color is white 50%. So let's do that. BG white 50. And we can also see a border or an outline in this case of E5, 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 which I think should be outline, neutral. I think 200. Yeah, there we go. Double check. Yeah. And what else do we have? I think that's it for now. So if you look here, okay, this is not looking right at the moment, but what we can also say here is we want to have some sort of a margin that's like 39. Let's round up or something. So let's say we want to have a margin top of 16, which should be 32, or 8 is 32. Okay, there we go. We've got our margin. Now, the other thing we are seeing here is that we have a full width here, but this is meant to be finishing up at 1048 pixels, which is weird. Let's do 1024. So width of, do they even have 1024 here? No, they don't. So what we will do is just do 1000, and we can also go for 1048, I don't care. And here we go, and then it should be center aligned, so we will have an MX auto. And what we are missing here as well is a stroke width of 2, but then also a 12 pixel radius. So let's add that back in here. What did we say? Outline Is this outline 2? Outline dash 2, yeah. And we also set border round of 12. There we go. The only thing we need to back in here is outline general. And looks pretty close. The only bit that we are struggling with here is if you look at this whole thing is just 30 pixels in height. And we need to get it to 48 pixels in height. So let me do that as well. We said 48 is 12. Yeah. And because it's item center, it should be center aligned already. So there we go. Next step. Now that we've set our main navigation container, basically, we can see we've got 3 different items here, like 3 different boxes. One on the left hand side, we've got the logo. In the middle, we have links basically, and then on the right hand side, we have the login and register. And let's start building that, right? So what we will have is, instead of having that one single child in here, let's add 2 more. This will be the center bit, and then this will be the right hand side. And we should see that this, it's in here, but since they don't have any width, we will just go with what we have. So we will also basically remove all of this here, because we don't need this, and we will still need to double check this. But we can see this is also flexbox. We have a padding of 18 pixels, and that's it. So we've got flex, item center should be fine, padding of 18 pixels on the left. So what's that? This is 16, so we don't have that. Let's add this as a specific thing here. And this is looking good. Let's remove this bit here because we don't need it really. So let's go in here. This can go. And then this one is our logo. So let's make this a link that links straight to the home page. And we also don't want it to be like the indigo color. We want it to be 2.6, and so we have, this is 2.6, so we want this to be like, we don't need this here, and we want to add text color to this one. We also want to double check the size. We've got 20 pixels, which is H5 here. That's 20 pixels, so the logo should be fine now. We've got Cody here. It's by the way, it's not the real logo. I'm just playing around with stuff until I figure out how the logo is going to look like. But this is definitely my lowest priority. We've got inter semi-bold in 20 pixels. So what I will do is I'm going to ignore the inter for now. But we've got semi-bold. It's not uppercase. We don't have any of this. And it's going to be 900. Let me also add some. All right. We have to make it 20 pixels still. So text, is it LG? XL. There we go. And now we've got the size we want here. Looking good. What else do we have? I think for the logo, we should be fine. That's what we're gonna roll with. And let's move over to this one, because I think this one is also straightforward. We've got basically 6 links. Let me add all these 6 links in here first. So we've got I think this can be the nav part, so let me rename it like that. We've got 6 links in here. Let me quickly add them and then come back to you. All right, we are back. So now we've got all the items we want in here, and now we just need to align them properly. So what we have done here is we can see this middle section on the right hand side has some padding, 32 pixels. So let's add that. Class name px. I think 32 pixels should be 8. Yep, there we go. And what we can also see here is it's set to fill. So it's basically taking up the remaining space after left and right is basically covered. So what we will do here is we will say this should flex grow. And then we will see how this is looking like. And we also need to make sure, as if we look in here, we also need to make sure that we basically center the items. So let me double check. Item center. Sorry for the. So we need a flex items center, and we also had justify between. As I already said, this gap set to auto basically means justify between. And then one thing we also see here is we have a max width of 540 pixels. So let me add that in here as well. Max width, is it SM or something? MD, LG. Okay, it is not. So let me do this manually. And we've got our thing here. Obviously, I have no designs for the links or hover states. Let me have a look. No, it's basically 16 pixels, medium font, and that's it. And then let me do that. So for each of these, I've got font medium, text base, and that should be it. And then lastly, we will have to introduce our right hand side, which we have here, which is still empty. That's why this is taking up most of the space. So in here, we've got our login link basically and the sign up link. So let them add in here. Login, and sign up. That's going to be register or something. Doesn't matter for now because I still need to implement the remaining pages anyway. But let's have a look. What do we have? Let's start with the container first. So if you go to right hand side, we see, and again, Flexbox. Padding, no, it's a 10 pixels padding and 10 pixels in between. So let's do that. First, this means class name is flex. Let's also go back. It's not item center, but we will make it item center because that's in line with the rest. Items. What else do we have? We had a padding X of 10 pixels, which is 2.5, which exists here as well. The other thing we have is gap 2.5, and then gap. We should see the, yeah. And I think from here we can now go back and start basically implementing the buttons themselves. So we have this button here, again, is Flexbox, 13 pixels and 7 pixels padding. And that should be it. I don't think I need to make it Flexbox, so I'll just go with inline block. And then what did we say? px of 13 pixels and py of 7 pixels. And we also have our indigo background color and white font. So we've got BG indigo. I know for sure that this is 600, and then text white. And I'm pretty sure that this is also font semi-bold, yes, and it's 14 pixels. So text SM font semi-bold. And what else did we have here? Nothing, except for that I did it for the wrong one. So let me copy this over and also figure out, like, let me remove this again. Oh, let me leave this. I'm pretty sure I will need this later anyway. So let's make sure that we have the rounded corner, which I missed in the container earlier. We have rounded corner of 6 pixels. So let me do that. Rounded. I'm sure that there is no rounded 6 pixels. It is, there is. Nice. So we've got now our 2 buttons. The only thing we need to make sure is that this one has a different color. F5, I think it's neutral 200. So let's go with neutral 200. E5 is not what I was looking for, right? F5 is probably then 100. Yep. And then this one is 900, I guess. So this is basically everything we need, except for one tiny bit that I'm remembering, and that this is, I want to have the sticky. So let's have a look at how I make the sticky. Instead of making this MT8, well, I think I can make it MT8, but I also want to make it sticky. And let's see how this works. This does not work because I also need to add a top 8. And now, there you go. But what I'm also seeing here is we have the background. We have the background like looking good, but we don't have the background blur. As you can possibly imagine or remember, that was not intended. When we take this and move this up, you see that the behind the navigation this blurs out. In Figma you can do this by background blur, and in Tailwind, I never remember this, but I think it's backdrop. Yeah, there you go. I will start with like 12. What did we do here? 10. So should be fine. I will go ahead and check this, and there we go. The only thing that I'm currently thinking is that this outline is E5, but this E5 looks a bit weird. Yeah, so I will have to play around with the values, but this is basically it. We've got, what, 20 minutes, and we've basically implemented the entire navigation. Of course, we need to still add some hover state here, add some hover state for these ones. But apart from that, this was a quick one. I think that's the benefit of having Tailwind CSS at your hands without you having to write actual like class names, come up with names for the containers and whatever. And yeah, this might look a bit messy, but I can like clean this up as much as I want to. Like I can go ahead, make this a component for the logo. I could have a, even though this is not that big, I could have a component that's just the navigation link. I can make these buttons, and I could even like go ahead and make this entire header a separate component, and then the whole code will look quite straightforward, right? Let me know if you have any questions. If you have, I'm happy to answer them, maybe in a separate video, maybe in the comments. And yeah, see you next time.